On his first day of testing in Bahrain, Hamilton completed 70 laps in the morning session. In terms of mileage, that's a significant amount, equivalent to more than the distance of a Grand Prix. But beyond the number of laps, what really matters is the data collection and the driver's feeling with the car. Hamilton has stressed that the car feels completely different to what he has experienced before, which was to be expected considering the difference in engine architecture, aerodynamic design and chassis setup. One of the most symbolic aspects of this change is that Hamilton is once again racing in the number 44, a return to his karting roots and a tribute to his early days. However, the symbolism does not change the reality on the track. Adaptation will be a process that will take time. On his debut with Ferrari, his times were not the fastest of the day and he was behind Charles Leclerc, something that could be interpreted as a sign of initial difficulties. But rather than a handicap, this reflects the inevitable learning curve that any driver faces when changing teams. To extract the maximum performance from his new car, Hamilton must not only adjust his driving style, but also understand the behavior of the SF-25 under different configurations. Ferrari has worked on fine-tuning the correlation between simulator and track data, meaning that much of the day's testing was focused on gathering information rather than looking for benchmark times. In this context, pure speed takes a backseat and what really matters is how that information is translated into improvements throughout the preseason. Team changes in Formula One have always been a challenge for the most experienced drivers. Even in recent cases, the adaptation time has been seen to vary depending on the driver and the team. When Lewis Hamilton joined Mercedes in 2013, it took him several races before he felt completely comfortable with the car, but once he found his sweet spot, he dominated the hybrid era of the category. Now, at Ferrari the challenge is even greater because he is not only adjusting to a different car, but also to a team with a different operating culture. This first day of testing in Bahrain has been just the beginning of an adaptation process that will continue over the coming weeks. Every kilometer on track is an opportunity to better understand the SF-25, fine-tune the technical details and develop the confidence needed to extract maximum performance from it. With the start of the season in Melbourne ever closer, the key will be how Ferrari and Hamilton manage to accelerate this integration process in order to arrive on a solid footing for the first race of the year. Ferrari has introduced significant changes to the SF-25, designed to maximize its performance and make the car more competitive in 2024. One of the most important adjustments is the transition from a pushrod to a pullrod front suspension system, a technical change that directly impacts the way the car behaves on track and how drivers must adapt to its driving. The pullrod system modifies the transfer of forces when entering and exiting corners, affecting stability and the way the tires interact with the road. For Hamilton, this change represents a challenge, having spent most of his career racing with a different setup. In practical terms, this means that the car can react differently under braking and acceleration, and that suspension adjustments can have a more noticeable impact on the car's balance. Ferrari's priority on this first day of testing has not been to chase fast times, but to understand how the SF-25 behaves in different conditions. The team has followed a meticulous approach, collecting real-time data to correlate information from the simulator with the track. This allows engineers to refine the car's setup and optimize its performance ahead of the start of the season. Another key aspect of the SF-25 is its aerodynamic architecture, designed to improve airflow efficiency and maximize downforce without compromising straight-line speed. During the test in Bahrain, Hamilton worked with different wing configurations and levels of downforce to evaluate how the car responds in different situations. Ferrari is looking to find the perfect balance between top speed and stability in curves, a factor that has been decisive in recent seasons. In addition, tests have been carried out with different fuel configurations and tire compounds, using mainly the C2 and C3. This is crucial because it allows Ferrari to evaluate the behavior of the SF-25 in race simulations and understand how to manage tire wear, a key aspect in the strategy of each Grand Prix. Although the times were not the fastest of the day, these tests are not focused on setting fast laps, but on gathering information that will allow Ferrari to fine-tune its car for the upcoming preseason sessions. Another factor that Hamilton must consider is the difference in power delivery and dynamics of the Ferrari engine compared to the one he used at Mercedes. Each power unit has its own behavior in terms of acceleration, energy regeneration and fuel consumption, so the driver needs time to familiarize himself with these characteristics and adjust his driving style accordingly. The SF-25 not only represents a new technical challenge for Hamilton, but also an adjustment in his interaction with Ferrari engineers. Each team has its own way of working, its own technical language and its own methodology for developing the car. Accurate communication and the ability to translate on-track sensations into specific settings will be essential for Hamilton to maximize his performance throughout the season. The first day of testing in Bahrain has been an opportunity for Hamilton to begin to understand all these differences and start to build a solid foundation for his evolution at Ferrari. The key in this process is not immediate speed, but the ability to adapt and the speed with which the team can optimize the SF-25 based on the data collected on track. The first day of testing in Bahrain was not only a challenge due to the technical novelties of the SF-25 and Hamilton's adaptation, but also due to a series of unusual conditions that affected the normal development of the session. Bahrain is known for its hot and dry climate, but on this occasion, the circuit featured lower than usual temperatures and strong gusts of wind, which added an extra layer of difficulty for teams looking to gather accurate data on the behavior of their cars. The cooler temperatures altered the way tires reached their optimum operating range, a critical aspect in Formula One. Tire compounds are designed to deliver the best performance within a specific temperature range. When the asphalt is colder than expected, drivers can experience a lack of grip, especially in the early laps of each stint. This meant that Hamilton and Ferrari had to adjust their test programs to assess how the SF-25 reacted in these conditions. The gusts of wind also played a determining role in the behavior of the car. Bahrain is a circuit where wind can radically change the aerodynamic balance of cars, affecting braking stability and cornering behavior. A headwind can reduce top speed on the straight, while a tailwind can cause the car to lose downforce when braking. These factors influence the driver's ability to find consistent references on each lap, causing the data collected to vary more than usual. In addition to these weather conditions, the test was interrupted by an unforeseen event that no team expected: a power cut at the circuit. The session had to be stopped for more than an hour, which altered the plans of Ferrari and the rest of the teams. On a test day, track time is one of the most valuable resources, since every minute lost is one less opportunity to evaluate setups and strategies. For Hamilton, who is in the midst of the adaptation process, this interruption represented an enforced pause in his work program, delaying the collection of key information on the SF-25. Despite these inconveniences, Ferrari used the session to obtain additional data on the car's performance in adverse conditions. The variability in temperature and wind allowed the team to evaluate different aerodynamic configurations and suspension settings to counteract these effects. Different fuel levels and tire management strategies were also tested, essential factors in understanding the SF-25's behavior in unpredictable situations. Hamilton's focus during this test was not on setting benchmark times, but on familiarizing himself with the car and the changing track conditions. Each completed lap was an opportunity to gather information on how the car's power unit, aerodynamics and mechanical setup reacted to these variables. In a sport where every detail can make the difference in the race, this data will be vital for Ferrari to fine-tune its strategy for the start of the season. The atypical conditions and external problems that marked the test in Bahrain may seem like obstacles, but they are actually an opportunity for teams to prepare for unpredictable scenarios during the season. Adaptability is key in Formula One, and Ferrari's performance in this first session indicates that they are taking advantage of every circumstance to strengthen their knowledge of the SF-25. For Hamilton, each of these factors represents a new learning in his transition to Ferrari, a process in which every detail counts in the search for the best possible performance. Was among the fastest, but this does not mean that his performance was negative. In these types of sessions, the priority is not to set fast laps, but to gather key information that allows the teams to optimize the car before the start of the season. Each track session serves a specific purpose. Ferrari structured Hamilton's test program to evaluate different parameters of the SF-25, without focusing on pure speed. During the session, the team experimented with different aerodynamic configurations, fuel loads and tire compounds, which directly influence lap times. Testing with different fuel loads is essential in pre-season. A car with a full tank is not only heavier, but also changes its balance and the way the tires degrade over the course of a stint. Hamilton ran with different levels of fuel load to simulate race scenarios and evaluate the behavior of the SF-25 in conditions that resemble a real Grand Prix. This data allows engineers to fine-tune the setup and develop optimal fuel consumption and tire management strategies for the season. The use of different tire compounds also influences the times recorded in the test. During the session, Ferrari mainly used the C2 and C3 compounds, which are medium hard and designed to offer durability on long runs. These tires do not provide maximum grip on a fast lap, but are crucial for evaluating wear management and efficiency on long runs. Other teams, on the other hand, could have used softer compounds, which generate better lap times but degrade faster. Comparing times without knowing the exact setups of each car does not give a true picture of performance. Another key factor is the adaptation to the new engine. Hamilton spent more than a decade racing with Mercedes power units, so every detail of the Ferrari engine represents a significant change. The power delivery, energy regeneration system, and electronic engine management are different, requiring an adaptation period to find the optimal driving point. Ferrari has been working on fine-tuning the engine maps to maximize the performance of the SF-25 without compromising reliability, and part of the aim of the test was to evaluate these settings in real track conditions. The communication work between Hamilton and his engineering team is also an essential part of this phase of testing. At Mercedes, the British driver had a deep understanding of the team's dynamics and the way the engineers interpret his feedback. At Ferrari, this process is completely new. The way the car's sensations are described and how quickly the team translates that information into specific settings will make the difference to the SF-25's competitiveness throughout the season. The tests in Bahrain are not just about understanding the car, but also about developing the confidence needed to extract the maximum potential from the car in race conditions. Hamilton is in an exploratory phase, learning the limits of the SF-25 and adjusting his driving style to suit its characteristics. The real aim of these tests is to build a solid base that will allow him to face the first race of the year with an optimal level of preparation. The performance of a car in pre-season does not always reflect its true potential. Teams like Ferrari are using these days to fine-tune every detail of the SF-25, ensuring that the car is as competitive as possible when it comes time for the first race in Melbourne. For Hamilton, this test is the first step in an adaptation process that will continue to evolve throughout the season. The first tests in Bahrain have made it clear that Ferrari is focused on maximizing the performance of the SF-25 and that Hamilton is in a process of adaptation that will take time. The analysis of its performance cannot be reduced solely to the times recorded on the leaderboard, because what really matters in these tests is the amount of information collected and how it translates into improvements for the start of the season. The change of team involves more than just a new working structure. Hamilton must adjust his driving style to a car with a completely different architecture to the one he used at Mercedes for more than a decade. The SF-25's new suspension, the power delivery of the Ferrari engine, and the interaction with its engineering team are all factors that require time to understand and optimize. The conditions in Bahrain were also not ideal for obtaining representative times. Unusually low temperatures and wind affected the car's grip and aerodynamic behavior, adding an extra layer of complexity to the adaptation process. In addition, the interruption caused by the power cut reduced track time, limiting the amount of data Ferrari was able to collect on the first day. Despite these factors, Ferrari's approach has not changed. The team is focused on correlating simulator data with on-track results, fine-tuning every detail of the SF-25 before the first race in Melbourne. Hamilton, for his part, is in the initial phase of a process that requires patience and precision. His times in the test do not reflect his true potential, but are part of the path necessary to find the ideal balance in the car. The key here is not immediate speed but constant evolution. As testing progresses, Hamilton and Ferrari will work to close the gap with the leading teams and optimize every aspect of the car. This test has not only been an opportunity to evaluate the SF-25, but also to lay the foundations for the relationship between driver and engineers, a crucial factor in the development of the car during the season. With all this information on the table, the big question is how quickly Hamilton will be able to adapt to Ferrari and whether he will be able to compete for victories from the start of the year. His experience and talent are not in doubt, but Formula One is a sport where every detail makes the difference. The performance of the SF-25 in the upcoming test sessions will be key to determining the true potential of the team in 2025. The tests in Bahrain have only been the beginning of this new chapter in Hamilton's career. What comes in the coming weeks will define the level with which Ferrari will arrive at the first race of the year. The 2025 season is about to begin, and all eyes are on how Hamilton will face this new challenge with the Scuderia.